slide my actual mug into shot. Thank you.
Hey, treat him with respect. He's your boss.
He had to do some stunts earlier. He was like drinking out of a glass.
That's
A felt facsimile of your boss, anyway.
Yes.
Did you do something funny?
Yeah.
I
A
think
lot of things that are funny.
those.
Did you do something that I can use as an outtake funny?
Oh Christ, I doubt it.
Cool.
I think those. The puppets of Graham and myself and Kathleen showed up in, at least in a few sketches like many years ago.
Yeah.
And maybe in some crap shots.
Oh, people are wondering, hey, where'd the hell that come from? And it's like, yes, they're old school. It's weird to think of. I guess it is weird to think of something that you've done that's part of your job and your life. It's like, oh yeah, that's old school. That's like 10 years ago kind of deal. It's like old school is supposed to be like when you were a child. I guess we were all children back then, all much more innocent.
Oh man, yesterday got into a discussion on the Discord about After Hours. Quest for the Grail, which is the computer animated film that Graham and I did for Graham's high school film festival.
Oh right, you guys didn't go to the same high school.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when we were doing it, we were talking about the technology that was available at the time and how much, obviously things have improved and then I had to do a quick mental calculation, 20 years since we did.
Yeah. Aren't those fun? When you talk to yourself and you're like, your mic's up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you talk to yourself and you're like, oh, that thing that I did when I was 30 years younger. Tramps Comics and Books in Medicine Hat, Alberta was, they had a couple different stores. I don't know if the one in Rosclin, which is the suburb I lived in, I don't know if that one's still open or not, but that's like a major formative part of my childhood.
I know what a comic and a book is.
Yeah.
What's a tramp
Like,
in the context of a store?
Like Charlie Chaplin. It was literally the logo. It was just like Charlie Chaplin walking away. So it was Tramps Comics and Books, I think.
So you can buy tramps?
No, it is Tramps. It is like that was the name of it, as in like Buddies or Ruths or something like that. It was Tramps Comics and Books, and because it's a used comic and bookstore mostly. So if you had used comics and books, you could go there to buy sell. But then they also like every other company that's like that, they also had new comics out. They were the local comic book store essentially, and they were pretty damn good because they did all the things that you do, like where you have like pull files and stuff like that too. They sold like a lot of hockey cards. I bought a lot of hockey cards from Tramps, and they had good prices all around. Like it was hard to beat them. And then of course in the heyday of the Nintendo and Super Nintendo years, they became a game rental place as well, and their prices were a little bit higher than Monarch Video, which was next door. Basically they were right next door to a place that rented movies and games and stuff. Their prices were a little bit higher, but they had a better selection overall.
We were talking about before the episode, see if you can guess which stories were the ones that Kathleen wrote.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you want to know which are the stories that Beige wrote, just look for the ones that have weird explanations about things from his childhood.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I should have asked Kathleen, be like, if you can put in like a weird explanation from your childhood and make me have to read it, that would be great.
Pretend your child. I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's if the scene from the childhood takes place in like northern BC or New Zealand,
Yeah.
it might be a dead giveaway that it wasn't.
Exactly. When I was a
child.
child living in fucking Auckland, the reason why we're not drinking out of these mugs is because A, they're empty, so they don't have anything in them. But also B, I like to drink a lot of tea, as does Paul. So we grab the largest mugs we can find, so we don't have to make tea 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
When I was a young girl living in Auckland, that would have been really funny, actually. I should ask Kathleen to do that the next time we do it.
I feel like that's only funny, or that only kind of that only kind of works if you know the context of,
Kathleen wrote the story, yeah,
of previous checkpoints. But anyway,
yeah. Did I not pronounce the apostrophe in tramps? I'm sorry.
Tramps is
yeah,
and also this is actually the first checkpoint. With Beej in the intro, in which Beej is actually in the episode.
Isn't that great?
Yay!
I am so glad that we saved the intro for the first one I wouldn't be in. I thought that was a great gag.
Yeah.
That's a good troll and just the kind of thing we like to do to our audience. So,
I was kind of thinking about for the actual like on-screen intro for this, you also just being going like, who is that guy in the intro?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. You know, I don't actually watch the intro when it's playing. I'm too busy staring at the thing because I'm just waiting for it to lift so I can see the desk and the set come in so I can start reading.
Well, yeah, and also because there's no like you can't hear the sound in here, so yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the stories that we talked about.
So first up was the Destiny story, which is just beautiful timing.
Yeah, and it's one of those. The message, I guess, the message from the editor, I guess it's called, or the message from the
director.
The director is really long.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like an essay that apparently he had a lot to get off his chest.
Okay.
Like this is like 20 pages long. And anyway, there's lots of info in there. And yeah, one of the things talking about this idea of that they have that they feel like they're creating too much of the sort of FOMO stuff,
Right.
Which is what we said like 3 weeks ago.
How about that?
So not saying that we affected Bungie's policy, but maybe
It might be. Yeah. I mean, it could be clear that they've always known that, but because I'm sure Destiny players are not like meek. I'm sure they're pretty vocal. But yeah, here we are. We're living in a new world where now you'll just get to play a video game the way you want to play video game.
Yeah, I do love the thing of like, so we're gonna try this new idea where we're gonna create content for the video game, and then put it into the video game, and then leave it there,
And you can
where it
play
doesn't
whenever
just
you
go
want.
away.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it could be big.
Yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Also, I was highly amused because he talked about how they like to cycle things out because to keep the sort of power level.
Sure.
Because if every weapon in Destiny is available all the time, then there's you have issues with power creep and stuff.
Yeah.
And he literally cited like Magic the Gathering. Like in this article, in this thing, he was like, it would be like if you could play every card in Magic in every format all the time.
Okay. That's cool. Okay.
Which I was like, oh, wow.
I mean, there's a reason why Legacy is one of those things. But Legacy is also like a format that like whenever I hear people talk about Legacy or Vintage or whichever one it is, the one where you can play every single card forever.
The two formats are very closely related.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whenever I hear about those, I'm always kind of like, okay, that's really cool that you can play just about any card you want. And yet also it boils down to not much variety of what you'll end up doing, right? Everyone picks the most powerful cards, and as long as you have the most powerful cards, then you can play them.
Yeah.
It sounds like the same thing in Destiny. As long as you have the most powerful guns, those are the ones you're using.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously lots of discussion about in terms of Magic, what the thing is. But yeah, the idea that of the sort of standard system and things kind of rotating in and out is definitely a positive for how Magic works, and so basically in the case of Destiny, they're talking about wanting to do more persistent things,
Right.
But saying that there is a reason, like it's the whole thing of stuff cycling out isn't just to be assholes.
Sure.
Like there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And so there's still cycle things, but they're going to try to do it in a way that's less less problematic in terms of, if you miss it, you're stuck kind of thing.
If you treated it, I guess, like weapon durability in a way, where it's like you've used this weapon for like 3 months or 4 months or whatever, and it's like it's just not doing the same job anymore. So it's like, we're going to take the Gjallarhorn out of the game. How are we going to do that? We're going to just say that these things have been around for whatever, and they're all starting to wear out, so you can put it up on your shelf, and you can look at it, and isn't that cool? But you can't use it now for a little while. Until we release a way we want to put it back in the game, in which case we'll be like, if you already own one, you can take it to the local smithy, and he can rework your gun for you and be like, hooray, your Gjallarhorn's usable again, kind of deal.
Right.
Could be a way to do that.
And then, yes, of course, as you say in the article, somewhat undercut by sending out an email about a limited time cinematic that's available. So,
and to be fair, that's like, because those plans were already set up, so he's coming in and
and
giving you a
he's
new
saying
thing,
like
but
this is their plan, like moving from like in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
Because it takes, obviously in something like Destiny, again, actually, like Magic, the actual development team for Magic is working like 3 years out now, or 5 years out, or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of funny. The international is taking bids for places to do it, and
It's a little disingenuous for me to relate it directly to the Olympics, because this is a single event happening in like a single room, even though it's over like 10 days. And it's like, it's not a thing. But when they start saying shit like, it's the size of the NFL Super Bowl, and I'm like, 150 million people watch the Super Bowl, and I know that the international is spread out. I can't for a moment believe, because especially also they're like, oh, did you know that the international brought Vancouver and injected $7.8 million into the local economy? And I'm like, the Super Bowl probably does 10 times that for the city it ends up in. Like, you are not having the impact you think when you make these comparisons. And so I kind of wanted to give them the gears.
And it is also, it's like, it's not maybe as big as the Olympics, but there is still, serious infrastructure requirements, and which, by the way, there have been a couple in the past, 2 year or two. There have been some very high profile esports competitions that completely fell apart due to infrastructure problems.
Yeah.
Either they weren't able to broadcast everything that they wanted to broadcast, or there was horrible issues with streaming glitching out and all this kind of stuff. So it is not like a simple thing that anybody can set up in the ballroom of a hotel.
Exactly.
And the idea of, this is, I've thought about that. This is an idea I've thought about before too, in terms of like the Olympics. It's like, just have a couple of places around. Yeah. Like, having all these random cities having to make Olympic quality venues for one-shot things, and then which then completely fall apart.
Yeah, because like Vancouver we like to brag about this. Vancouver did very well because they're able to repurpose much of what they made for the 2010 Winter Olympics. Like Olympic Village became housing, and there's like all these other things that got repurposed into other things. But
it's still like best case scenario, it's kind of a wash.
Yeah, you might end out a little bit ahead, but you don't end up that much ahead. But it's still like, that's kind of nice. But then you look at Rio, which is the most recent one, or Sochi, and it's like, that shit fell apart. Like, people are not using the pools, they're not using the tennis courts, not using any of the things, because it's like what Rio needed was not a bunch of world-class tennis courts. What it needed was different forms of infrastructure for people. And that's not what the Olympics brought to their table.
Yeah.
And yet, if you were to say, well, we'll make all this infrastructure, we'll do all these kind of things, and Rio will be back in 12 years to do this again, then it might be like, oh, well, if you're going to come back every 12 years...
And now there's a point to us making the stuff out of more than, like,
whatever we need to put
plaster, because that's also the problem, is that the venues, like, fall apart immediately because they make them out of really crappy materials because they only need them for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm totally in favor of this. Like, I love the idea of there being... for the Olympics, but this idea of doing stuff for the international, where it's so. Anyway, we'll see what they come up with. It's worth noting that the international is, in terms of dollar dollar value for prizes.
Yeah.
The international is the biggest esports
It's like
competition.
$37 million worth of prizing.
Yeah, there's some serious money
Yeah.
involved in it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope that actually some companies think about doing it that way, though. Just splitting venues and just being like, we'll just rotate in and out, because then you can always have like a
right,
venue
because
in
of course,
someplace.
the requirements for Dota Championship versus Counter Strike
Overwatch.
Championship or Overwatch Championship and stuff are basically the same.
Yeah.
You know, you might want to redo a bunch of the like
Backdrops.
and stuff, but the actual technical requirements are basically the same.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got going on here? Butterfinger
Yes.
for Final Fantasy VII DLC. Man, this is
When I went to the website actually for
Mm-hmm.
the thing, it was like, for more information, right? There's a big button that says "Visit Butterfinger," and I was like, that feels ominous to me in a way that I didn't think it would. Please visit Butterfinger. I'm like, is that a pimp? Like, who is Butterfinger a crime boss? Like,
well, but yeah, I mean, I've seen lots of people talking about like hoping that they're going to actually like do some integrated marketing in the actual game, being like, you know, whatever.
big Butterfinger signs in Midgar.
In Midgar, or you know, somebody being like, oh, we better, you know, grabs, you know, in those old in like, you know, the original DOS, like Commander Keen and Duke Nukem,
Yes.
like Coke cans were power-ups.
Yep.
Be like, you know, just that like the potions are just like, you know, Butterfingers will like,
Yeah.
you can just like pick up it's like the enemy
need-
dropped a Butterfinger and then you get like 50 health back or
Or
something.
it's like an antidote or something like that. You eat this thing and it's like, oh, or now I'm fast. You know, like, who knows? That's super funny though. Like, and it was difficult to kind of get initially.
It's an escort quest.
Yeah.
You have to stop people from laying a finger on your Butterfinger.
Mhm. Yeah, or you have to accompany the baby Ruth to a new location. I think that the idea of the tiered system is a little weird, but also kind of neat, because it's like, it's not then a randomized thing. It's like, if I buy 2 Butterfinger, I get the first thing, which is like the Midgar bangle.
Yeah, yeah.
When I buy 2 more Butterfinger and I redeem that, then I get the next thing in the list. And once I have bought 10 Butterfinger and gone through the whole, is it Butterfinger or Butter's Finger? Sure. Once I buy 10 Butter's Finger, and I go through the whole thing, it's like, I have now received one of everything as long as I've done this immediately.
Yes.
But no idea whether or not they're actually worth anything outside of just being interesting to look at.
Yeah, there's a weird. The Butterfinger seems to be very into people buying pairs of Butterfingers.
Yeah.
We didn't get into it in the story because it's unnecessarily complicated. But for some reason, like 10 Butterfingers is required to get the maximum thing. But if you buy like 3 Butterfingers and submit those, and then buy another 3 Butterfingers,
You bought 6.
and submit those, you have bought 6 Butterfingers, but you would only get the 4 Butterfinger tier.
Yeah.
Because it only takes pairs of, but for whatever reason, Butterfinger seems to think that somehow they want to encourage people to buy pairs of Butterfingers.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I don't know, they're concerned about Butterfingers being lonely.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you get a Butterfinger, you always want to get another Butterfinger so that, you know, when you're away at work, the Butterfinger doesn't get lonely. Anyway.
All right.
Oh, yes. And also GameStop is flailing around randomly trying to figure out, like, I don't know.
It's 3 test stores in Oklahoma. That's all they're doing this for right now, because they're just like, we need to try to do something. But it was weird to me because I was like, I cannot see. We have an EB Games. EB Games and GameStop are the same company essentially, and we have an EB Games in Mayfair Mall, which is probably the size of like Studio C. Like, it's not big. It's a very small space. And I was like, there's no way you tear all the merchandise out of here and you put in a bunch of tables and shit, and then you be like, hey kids, come to the Teen Zone and hang out at our GameStop.
And it's just like, I mean, it's the article that I was looking at. It was just like, you know, the conclusion of the article was like, Nobody wants to hang out at a GameStop.
Yeah.
I don't care what you make it look like inside.
Yeah.
GameStop is not cool.
Right. And that's the thing, is because I was like, and I came to that conclusion, but then I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, wait, hang on. When I was 10 years old, I went to Tramps, which was like,
Yeah, there
and
was
it
like-
smelled like old books, but they had Nintendo set up, and for $2 an hour, you give them $2, you go sit for an hour, right?
I mean, there's a long tradition of, basically like places to sort of dump your kids after school kind of thing.
And it's like, you could do that at the mall, I guess. Your kids could be like, I'm going to the mall because I'm going to go hang out with Joey, and and I didn't think that was still a thing, but when I worked at the library in Olds, so I was like an adult at this point, kids would come to the computer labs and they would play Minecraft. And we actually at the library used to have Rock Band set up until people started stealing all the plastic instruments and shit. Actually, no, they didn't steal the plastic instruments. They stole the Xbox 360.
Wait, isn't Rock Band is like the one game that I would be least inclined to want to have in a library? Yeah.
It was.
Did you play it quietly?
They had a because we had like a couch and a big TV and everything, and then we had big freaking glass doors that cut all of the clickety and all the noise and stuff. But yeah,
did you have to wear like headphones while you were playing it?
I don't think so. I think they just had the TV on in the room, or we had a sound bar in the room or whatever. Like the whole thing was meant to kind of show off to people that it's like, this is what your living room could be like. You could have you can have a big TV, you can have like Skype and everything over your TV. It was all meant to be kind of tech demo-y stuff. And then we also were like, we can use this as a place to play Rock Band or whatever else. And people you could rent the game and go play it there if you wanted to, right? Borrow the game from the library.
Right.
And I just thought about it, and I'm like, this sounds like a cool idea for GameStop to do if kids are like, yeah, I don't have a computer at home that's able to run Minecraft, or I actually do want to go hang out with somebody, but I can't go to Jimmy's house and Jimmy can't come to my house or whatever, but we could go to the mall and go to GameStop. And I'm like, I guess.
But it's like, it's important to note that a lot of these examples, the teen zone, the library, those are places that are like publicly funded for the public good.
Yes.
Which I agree with as a thing. But probably not a good thing to base the business model of your company on.
No, and that's the one thing I don't get is I'm like, how do you make money with free memberships? You get people to come to the store, they sign up for free, and they play for free. And I'm like, what are you selling them? You don't have merchandise. What's happening here? So I don't get it.
It's clear that, I mean, GameStop, they're sort of the Blockbuster thing, right? Like they're getting hit by the same exact stuff. People don't want the physical thing anymore. People are less inclined to get the physical thing.
Yeah.
And they're just they're flailing around desperately trying to find a business model that works. I don't think this is going to be it.
Yeah.
What else we got? Okay, so those were I guess the Mario Kart thing isn't actually necessarily a story. It's not like, it's important to note that it was actually like, that was when it was gonna.
Yeah, we planned all this. We were like, when are we gonna have to put this up? We're like, the only time that makes sense is to do it in terms of how we put things up was on the last day.
So it wasn't like they suddenly pulled it unexpectedly.
No, it was coming down that day anyway. So, yeah.
But I hope they put it back up, so that we can have our video be relevant again.
They've already made the product, right? So imagine if they put up Vancouver Velocity 2 and it's now changed in some like specific way, and it's like, God damn it, now we got to go do another video.
Or they watched the video and they were like, we're going to take your criticisms to heart.
Now it's going to take 2 hours to drive the routes, and there's going to be traffic.
Well, I was thinking about it. It's like, remember in like Mario Kart 64, there was like Toad's Turnpike?
Yep.
I'm just imagining that's what it would be like. It's just like, there's just tons and tons of, like, to be honest, that actually would be quite entertaining.
Yeah. Snake your way through Vancouver streets, it's just like.
Through the traffic. I mean, if you didn't have to actually, like be stuck in traffic in your little go-kart. All right. So other stories that we did not talk about.
You're going to hate me for this.
Yep.
I need to go use the washroom.
Go ahead.
So
I don't hate you.
Okay, but please enjoy only Paul. I'll be back in a few minutes.
So stories we didn't talk about. GOG, as in Good Old Games, They are implementing a new policy where, or a new refund policy for basically 30 days, no questions asked. Well, not no questions asked, but very few questions asked. So previously, GOG did have a fairly lenient policy, but now this is even more lenient, where they had a money back guarantee where if the game didn't work, you could go ahead and send it and give it back, and it's fine. They've now said that you can, up to 30 days, you can refund the game regardless of how much time you've actually played in the game. And also, considering that GOG games are DRM free, theoretically you could just like copy the game and then return it. And GOG actually, full on admits this. Basically, they like said, yeah, you could screw us here, but we hope that you don't, which I appreciate. So you know what? If you are somebody who buys things from GOG and you do want to refund things, that's totally cool, but don't ruin it for everybody. Be cool, GOG. Is that not? Yeah. Don't screw GOG, and by extension, screw everybody, because they've said that basically, like, I guess whatever their stats are indicate that they can do this, and it's not like they've said that they're gonna. It's not like a blanket free reign policy. Your account, you still have an account with them, so if they see that you're buying 100 games and then returning them all, they're going to call you on it, right? It's not like they can't, like they're still tracking it. It's not like it's a completely anonymous process. But anyway, I appreciate that they're willing to, I guess, give people the benefit of the doubt, and I hope it doesn't bite them in the butt. Other stuff. There's going to be a new Shovel Knight, which is not just another night, because of course Shovel Knight has brought out a couple of expansions which are almost full games unto themselves. They've been very generous with the like Shovel Knight and then Plague Knight and King Knight, and I think they did one other one. But they're bringing out a new game called Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, and it's actually going to be, presumably from the name, it might be a mobile game. They haven't actually said. Right, Spectre Knight is the third one. They haven't actually said that it's going to be a mobile game or what platforms it's going to be on, but it is called Pocket Dungeon, which would imply a mobile game. And it appears to be kind of Shovel Knight plus Candy Crush, or plus Puzzle Quest or whatever, which I feel like that could go well. That seems like a real solid idea. And also, I have a fair amount of faith in Yacht Club? What's the name? Yes, Yacht Club Games. I have a fair amount of faith in them because, Shovel Knight is an excellent, excellent game. Diablo 4. Some more info has come out about Diablo 4. One with two bits of sort of, I guess it could be called accessibility information that they've released. That seems like basically a good for everybody thing. Is that one, you're going to be able to play it with the controller on PC, which is pretty cool. Which was not previously, you weren't previously able to do that. And also, they've added a bunch of new features for like couch co-op play. Now, which did work before. You could split screen Diablo 3 and do couch co-op, but it was a little janky, and you couldn't you couldn't have both players in the menus at the same time, which is kind of dumb. Whereas now you will be able to do that. You'll be able to play with your controller, and what is even more interesting is you're going to be able to remap your the left mouse button. So if you've played Diablo, you can actually because right now, because obviously normally with Diablo, left mouse click is move and also attack, and you'll be able to remap things so that either the left mouse button is only attack or only move, or you could have like other buttons be your attack button. If for instance you find it difficult to be clicking people, or left-handed or whatever. I remember actually relevant to CheckPoint back in the day in the old Moonbase when Graham and I were doing CheckPoint. There's a big section where it was just Graham doing CheckPoint by himself, and I would be running the CheckPoint. We did it actually in the equivalent of Studio A in the streaming office, and I would be just off camera controlling everything, like literally up against the wall so that I wasn't on camera controlling it on the secondary computer, if you remember those old episodes. And there's a bit of a problem in that the clicking of the mouse would be very audible on camera or on the stream, and I had to obviously click a fair amount when I was going around doing stuff. And so I was doing some research into non-clicky mice, or how to make a mouse quieter. And I ended up I did a little like a hack on the mouse that put a little bit of tape in the clicker thing that worked, but also made the mouse really nasty.
Dull.
And well, it was just it got rid of the sound of the click, and also it got rid of the click itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just very mushy,
Right.
and it was just unpleasant to use.
Yeah.
And so it was not very successful as a hack. But when I was doing the research for that, when I was looking at the main source I found for it's I'm looking for I was quiet mouse clicking. The first response was somebody on Reddit being like, so I've been playing a lot of Diablo, and my girlfriend keeps complaining that it's keeping her up with all the clicking.
Yeah.
You have any ideas for silent mice? So the fact that in Diablo 4 you're able to remap the mouse, the mouse clicking to some other button could be totally useful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was talking about while you were gone, Beach, that there's a new Shovel Knight game.
Yes.
I thought that it seems like something might be up your alley.
Yeah. The puzzle dungeon one.
What with all the puzzling things?
Yeah.
Yes. So Pocket Dungeon.
Maybe I'll look at it. Is it free to play?
I don't know.
I hope not. I hope you have to buy it and make them some money.
Yeah, I mean, historically, Yacht Club has been pretty good about that kind of stuff, but who knows? We'll see. There is going to be there's a Wolfenstein board game coming out. Wolfenstein, as in the sort of, I guess, coming off the new Wolfenstein series.
Okay.
Not a lot is known about it. It's done by Archon Studios, who have, I believe they've done a few other sort of video game board games.
Okay.
Which, since we started doing AFK, is something that apparently, I've been noticing more and more and more, especially on Kickstarters and stuff. All sorts of board games attempting to sort of replicate the feel of a.
Yeah.
video game.
Yeah. Like
To
Fallout.
sometime for better or worse. But the main thing that's exciting about this is that one of these things that these guys do particularly well is miniatures.
Okay.
And so this is apparent, according to the Kickstarter page anyway, it's going to come with, a whole assortment, more than 50 miniatures, including, of course, enormous Mecha Hitler.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
finally, if for whatever reason you had a desire to fight Mecha Hitler in a board game,
Yeah.
then you can do that now.
Just something nice to paint and have on your shelf is just a big.
Yeah,
Mecha
if you wanted that to go along with the rest of your extremely accurate World War II models.
Yeah.
Put
that in your next war game, or
The,
just bring it to work and put it on your desk and see what people think of that.
I love the idea of like just bringing him into like a group of serious like World War II war game aficionados.
Yeah.
And just being like, okay, so here's my army. I'm going to deploy him here, and I have Mecha Hitler here, and everyone's like, is that what
unit is that exactly?
What unit is that? Which part of the war is this attempting to replicate right now?
This is a mechanized chief commander. Anyway.
EA has instigated what people are calling the nuclear option.
Oh yeah.
Against a particular streamer by the name of Kurt0411. Well, by the username, who's ostensibly a very popular FIFA streamer.
Mm-hmm.
I say ostensibly because I am not familiar with the FIFA streaming community.
No, nor am I. Why did they go nuclear?
So this person apparently has been quite, shall we say, vocal about various, they not only have they been, various poor sportsmanship, poor conduct things.
Yes.
But then, of course, which got them kicked out of, a tournament, tournament. But then the problem is that he keeps escalating it. So like he got kicked out of a tournament thing, and then I believe he got his FIFA account banned. But then he's been like going after, he's this big streamer, and he's been posting stuff about EA, like actual people who work at EA,
right?
Repeat.
Oh my God.
And there have been like repeated, repeated warnings. Everything, giving this guy
tell him to stop, and he
a bunch
won't
of different
stop.
chances. He won't stop. So not only has his actual FIFA account has been banned, but they've done the unprecedented thing of just straight up banning him from EA games. Period.
From the entire service.
From the EA
Wow.
service.
Okay.
So not just FIFA, not just like competitive, but just literally all EA games.
So
they're like, we just don't want you around.
So your shitty, abusive behavior is no longer welcome here.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, as people in chat said, yeah,
EA.
this is a story about EA where EA is somehow not the bad guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
I guess it depends on your perspective.
Oh, he was even paid by EA to make a living at EA events. Okay, I didn't realize that's all the.
Well, like
that's how
he
this
was
goes
he
as well,
was a professional streamer and played in competitive events.
right.
And then it sort of was this escalation of getting various warnings at competitive events, getting kicked out of those, and then getting kicked out of competitive events, and then continuing to play just as a regular streamer,
Which
not competitively.
Yeah.
But continuing to antagonize both EA the company and also individual EA employees by sending his chat after them and blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's not.
And it was just
Oh my God. Cool.
Yes.
Top quality.
The Xbox One Series X, or not Xbox One Series X, Xbox Series X being the new Xbox
Right.
that will be coming out.
You're literally
Feel
lost.
feel free to make whatever jokes you want about it. It's going to be the system isn't even out yet, so there's going to be lots of time. But anyway, there's been a couple of new announcements which actually sound really cool. Basically it's the thing that it's like seems cool because it's a console, but when you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, it is just a PC. So why, all the stuff inside it is essentially PC components.
Yeah.
Why isn't this a thing for other things? For instance, all your Xbox One peripherals will work with the Xbox Series X.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So your $150 Xbox Elite controller will work with the Xbox Series X.
Nice to hear.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's a Bluetooth controller. Why wouldn't it work?
Yeah, it should. Exactly. There's no reason why they shouldn't. They're not undergoing major revisions of how controllers work at this point. They kind of all work the same.
So anyway, they're talking about also they're going to be obviously there's going to be it's going to have SSDs in it,
Which the new normal, yeah.
which it should.
Yeah.
And it'll have built-in stuff for doing ray tracing and stuff to try and keep it at least for a while in the relative forefront of quality of visual quality.
Yeah.
Obviously, it can't compete with $10,000 gaming rigs forever, but at least do it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And apparently they've also been working with television manufacturers to be to try to basically work with TV manufacturers to implement new technology to limit the whole controller lag thing, input lag between. Because that's historically been a big problem, especially for fighting games and really time particular, frame particular stuff, where there can be just even a few frames of lag. Yeah. As a side note, the fact that they have to do that is part of the reason why for certain kinds of games, stuff like Google Stadia and those things is never going to work.
Yeah.
The fact that there's too much lag between the cable connecting the Xbox to your TV right there.
Yeah.
It's still too much lag in some circumstances.
Yeah.
There's just no way it's going to work to do it over the internet. I'm sorry. For certain types of games. And then also, they're going to be doubling down on their multi-platform compatibility stuff, which if this actually works in the sense of there's more than a couple of Microsoft first-party games to do this could be great. What they're doing is at the moment it's been announced for Cyberpunk 2020 or 2077 and Gears 5 that these are games that are going to be coming out soon for Xbox One and PC.
Right.
And they're saying that if you have them for Xbox One or PC, when the Xbox Series X comes out, you're just going to get it.
Right.
And then games that are compatible with all three of those consoles you can buy that on either PC or Xbox One or Xbox Series X, and you get it for all of them.
Fascinating.
Which is pretty awesome. If that actually happens.
Yeah. That's a hell of a thing to even include PCs on that. But I guess when you are like, hey, we are Windows. This is who we are. We can do this. It's like, yeah, I guess you can do that. So kind of amazing. See how that works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Account Made for Ant says, of course, the publishers have to opt into that. Publishers might be not so on board with the idea of making a game available for 3 different consoles when we could just be selling that game 3 times. And it's like, you won't though. You won't sell the game 3 times.
And
you
it's
might
true.
sell it twice.
And obviously, there's a limit to how much Microsoft can do that. But theoretically, Microsoft can take the lead on this.
Yeah.
They also do, a lot of really good games are Microsoft first party or sort of second party. Like Microsoft does run a bunch of game studios that are not specifically Microsoft. So there is a lot of weight there to them saying that this is going to be what they want to do. So it could be powerful. Last couple things here. This is mostly just funny because Path of Exile, very, very, very cool, Diablo-ish type game. Noted for its incredibly huge skill tree.
Yes.
Which is if you look at I mean, you don't usually have to look at it like this, but it's fun to see pictures of like the ridiculously huge, complicated skill tree.
Yeah.
And so they're just starting a new expansion, or the next expansion is called Delirium, and it's going to have whole extra ways to add your own thing. Basically, you can, from what I understand, you basically can take any of the sort of gems or the places at the end of a particular branch of the skill tree,
right?
And you can start adding in more stuff to make an even bigger skill tree.
But how does that, like, you can't add in, like, they're going to give you things to put into, or
yeah. So you'll basically, the idea is that you're going to get all these orbs of delirium. No, wait. Yes.
And so you use that to unlock even further?
No, you're going to get these cluster jewels.
Okay.
Which you're going to basically allows you to add in the cluster, and the jewels will have their own various they will be abilities selected from a random pool of 280 new abilities, and then you can take but the idea being that you can take those and put them sort of at the end of your tree,
the
wherever
branches.
you happen to be,
right?
You can sort of choose it rather than being like, oh, some new stuff got added in way on the other side of the tree that you will never ever get to because you can't level up that much.
Wild. Okay, interesting.
So I think that makes sense.
It's definitely something I think I'd have to go like look at and read a little bit more, but it sounds fascinating.
Basically, Path of Exile is it's one of these games where it's like, it's sort of like I guess you could call it sort of like it's this idea of sort of when the big company, in this case Blizzard, kind of goes one way.
Okay.
Like for Diablo 3.
Yeah.
They went a certain direction with it that a lot of people liked, but some people did not like, who were old school Diablo 2 fans, did not like.
All right.
And so Path of Exile came along and was like, we see a niche here of the people who like really
style of play.
They're really like hardcore, very complicated, customized, like excessive customization of characters, figuring out what the best builds are,
right? All
that kind of stuff. And then so we can access that market, and of course, once you're sort of, the people who are already in that area, the more complexity and stuff they want, there is available, the better. So although it can be a little bit scary for new people,
because I'd never heard of it, so I'm kind of like, so Path of Exile is essentially a Diablo-alike, the looter clicker, whatever you want to call them, but it's a Diablo-alike that is set up to be like, hey, what's all the stuff you liked about Diablo 2? No, not the stuff they put in Diablo 3. The other stuff you liked about Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Well, we did that over here. Isn't that great? Here's a massive skill tree. Here's all these other things that you loved about the product that Blizzard thinks you didn't.
Yeah. It's the sort of, Blizzard thinks that, but Blizzard is the idea that if we simplify things, it'll open up to a bigger audience.
Yeah.
That blah blah blah.
Which is true. I mean,
which is true, but at the same time, you lose your.
Yeah.
It's.
your
it's
breadth of your audience might open, but then some of them might be like, well, what if I wanted to do the other thing?
As I said, it's the like D&D 4th edition came out, which was simplified in a lot of ways. Same with even 5th edition.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like that direction, and so there became this gap
Pathfinder
in the market, and Pathfinder moved into that market.
Yeah.
And so there's all sorts of stuff like that. Anyway, I think there's just one more story here.
Okay.
Which
We have
was
time.
right. So this is actually kind of interesting. So there's this was news about a year ago, I think. There's a horror game called Devotion.
Right.
That was a first-person horror game by a Taiwanese developer called Red Candle Games.
Okay.
And there was a kerfuffle about it a little while ago because it turned out that there was a joke about the
Mainland China?
a joke about the president of China, about the president of China, and comparing him to Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
And it was one of these things where it was like, is this like a random, is this a rogue developer who stuck this in? Is this a thing that was like
Planned from the beginning?
Planned from the beginning? Is this something that was like a temp asset that was somehow by mistake left in the thing?
Yeah.
We don't. There's going back and forth. Did they actually get a chance to play it on Let's Note before? Anyway, because of this, they're a Taiwanese producer.
Yes.
It was pulled from Steam, and there was great, they're great. Sorry, but we apologize for all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're not, it's not going to be.
We can't sell it anymore. Essentially. Yeah. And yet.
And so it is now available to be played. The only place that is available to be played, in fact, is in the Harvard Yenching Library, which it houses over 1.5 million volumes of Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, Tibetan, Manchu, and Mongolian texts.
Mm-hmm.
It is the largest university library for East Asian research out of Asia. So the idea being that they chose to incorporate it, and they actually have it set up so you can play it.
Right.
So because of the circumstances surrounding it, it has sort of become a notable part of East Asian cultural significance.
Right. So you need a method to study that.
And so you need a method to study it, and because it's not actually available anywhere else, it is now, if you really, really want to try this game, the only place to get it is in the Harvard Library.
I'm coming back to this, right? Goddamn kids coming to the library to spend all day in the computer labs playing Devotion. This is a thing that happens. So I'm impressed that the Harvard Library is like, this is a notable piece of text. It says something considered important. Maybe not everything in the game is like, this is like high literature or this is but it says something notable about the time in which it was produced.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's like this acts as a piece of history, and preserving it is important. That's what librarians do. They preserve pieces of history. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's becoming more and more, there's been various attempts or various pushes to preserve more of the sort of video game stuff, which by its nature tends to be a little bit more ephemeral than some of the other mediums, especially MMO type stuff.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of different organizations that have been working to try and preserve this stuff, because it is.
This is a lot of speech that is otherwise being lost.
And whether you consider it to be relevant or not, it is as important. It is a very large aspect of the sort of social memory of this time period.
It's part of the development of our culture recently.
And as we talk about, and as is the case that historians talk about a lot, is that we don't know what will be significant in the future, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what will be important. It turns like, for instance, right now when we go back to when we historians try to look at information about, try to find out information about whatever, the 1700s, the 1600s, the 1500s, way back in time. The thing that's so valuable to them is first-person accounts.
Yeah, stuff written in letters.
People's diaries, the stupid stuff that wasn't important. There's the stuff that historians at the time wrote.
Yeah.
But they obviously only took the really important stuff, or what they thought was really important.
Yeah.
But to really get an idea about the day-to-day work or the day-to-day lives of people, you had to actually look at their diaries and the kinds of things that at the time they didn't think was important.
Yeah.
So, we don't know what's things. But anyway, there's this thing here from Red Candle Games. There's a statement that says, "As game designers, never have we thought that our work could one day be added to this prestigious collection. While we truly appreciate the recognition, we've also taken this opportunity to rethink the possibilities that our games could achieve." So
that's cool.
They're hoping to do more stuff in the future.
And it's Maricat pointed out in the chat that China recently pulled Plague Inc. from sale in China because Plague Inc. is used to as a means of it's like it's meant to simulate plagues, and it's meant to be a game that simulates plagues. It sure as hell does, but they're considering it illegal content.
4 weeks ago, we talked about this on CheckPoint, that the developers of Plague Inc. were begging people not to use it as a way to...
It's not modeling software.
It's not a modeling software.
Yeah.
It is a game, and some of the inputs in the game are based on real-world things, but it is in no way modeling software. Please do not use it like that. But
I understand, and as Bright Shadow says, people were probably terrifying themselves playing Plague Inc. and China was like, "Oh no, destroy this." And I'm like, I can definitely see why to be like, we can't be like giving people access to something that's going to give them the wrong idea about what's currently going on is, definitely you want to be able to say, don't, because that's not what this is. But of course, if you just go about it by saying, hey, it's illegal now and you can't have it, people are going to be like, because it's going to tell us something they don't want us to know. And it's like, that's always going to be a thing that happens. So
yeah, to be fair, not fair, but I mean,
to be realistic,
this isn't that unexpected, considering like China has a long history of things, what they consider to be like in the public good.
Yeah, heavy authoritarian control.
Well, and just sort of the idea being that something doesn't have to actually be objectionable. They just have to sort of decide that it's not in the public. If they even decide that people are just like they got. There's a thing about like Fortnite where they just got. It wasn't that Fortnite was bad at all, but they were saying kids are spending too long playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
So we have to limit it.
Yeah.
And that's just part of their.
That's part of how
part of their thing
that works. Yeah.
And so from that perspective, it makes sense.
Yeah.
To limit it.
Yeah.
I would hope that after this current thing is dealt with, that maybe that would be rescinded.
One of those, one of the things you open up, but maybe it doesn't happen. Anyway,
let's thank all the wonderful people who subscribed during the stream.
Before we jump to that,
everyone's been
commenting on this beautiful piece of artwork that I have on my chest.
Yes.
This is the new Loading Ready Run Pride shirt. And I would invite you all to go to lrr.cc/pride. It will take you directly to this on the store. You can also just go to the store and check everything else out if you want to, but this is right there. For those of you who are ordering them, holy shit, you have been prolific because we are almost sold out. Now half of what's on the store. When we ordered the shirts, I sent half the stock to our fulfillment center so all of you can buy them, and half the stock went to PAX East so we could sell it in person because I figured it was going to be popular there too. And we want to thank everybody for that. You're that interested and you love this. And I also did the same thing with RoadQuest Mountain Tees as well. I reordered RoadQuest Mountain Tees and sent them to PAX East to be sold there as well. So if you go to the store and we are out of your size, put in your email address because I'm going to order more shirts. This is an evergreen shirt. We're going to have this forever. The RoadQuest Mountain Tee is not an evergreen shirt. It is a shirt that when interest has basically dropped sufficiently, I will probably not order any more of those. I'm going to keep ordering these for a long time, essentially, because I think people want these for a while. If these drop off significantly in demand and people don't want them anymore, then obviously we wouldn't. That's how stores work.
Yeah, the intention is that
this stays up for a long time. It's not
the
limited
Pride
edition.
shirt will be available in the same way as like the Phases shirt or just the logo shirt is available and that kind of stuff.
So I'm very happy that you're doing what you're doing, but we are sold out of most sizes. Put your email address in so you get notified when they arrive back.
And obviously, assuming that they don't sell all of the shirts at PAX East, after PAX East, all the remaining shirts will be coming back to our fulfillment center and be added back in inventory.
And immediately go out again.
And so at that point, some will. But even if at that point, there aren't enough shirts.
Yeah.
There will be a reorder happening, and so the best way to know when a reorder. We'll try to make it clear on our various social media things when new shirts are in, but also it's very important for you to put in your email address and stuff, so that way not only do we know you're interested, but we know what sizes. Because there are sometimes sizes that we only get a couple of. If we don't know that a bunch of people want 4XLs or whatever, we'll only get a couple, and then we'll bring them in, and they'll immediately sell out. And we're like, oh, if people had told us that they wanted those, then we would have got more.
Yeah, but we have no way to know what you want because we have to put the product up for you to be able to buy it. So that's why we have this email system now, and it's actually has been really great. I think we've actually been doing fulfillment a lot more for people, getting them what it is that they want, because now I know what you want.
That's we just want you to be fulfilled.
Yeah, really. I'm glad that you're buying the shirts. I love to see you walking around in them. And also, so everybody knows, we made a donation to PFLAG Canada already, just basically because we're like, if the shirts sell, if they don't sell, it doesn't matter. But we made them with pride in mind, and so we made this donation in your name. So thank you very much.
So coming up, we have LRR-MTG right after this. LRR-MTG will actually be ending a little early because at PAX East there's the Loading Ready Run, the official Loading Ready Run panel, which starts at 4:00 local time, I believe. So it's 7:00 Eastern time. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to be going off a little early on LRMTG so that we can start hosting that panel. It's only an hour long, so that'll go from 4 to 5, and then at 5 o'clock it will be Tinker, Tailor, Solder, Fry, not the long game. Normally it would be the long game where we'll be continuing Gloomhaven, but again, because people are away at PAX East, it will instead be Tinker, Tailor, Solder, Fry, and then we'll make up that extra long game next month.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, you might have seen a tweet that just went out. Very excited to be doing Unsanctioned, the new unset from Wizards of the Coast, which is done with these sort of pre-made decks that you shuffle. You sort of shuffle two of them together and play. So it should be a lot of fun. There's some new stuff in there, and then there's also reprints from all the other unsets. So it's like an unset chaos thing. It's probably going to be very silly. So let's thank all the amazing people who subscribed during the stream.
Yes, please.
Starting with this person.
You go first.
Yomidan.
Yomidian?
Yomidian for 37 months. Thank you very much.
Yomidian. Not a real artist for 15 months. Welcome back.
Don't sell yourself short, man. You're a real artist if you want to be.
Yeah, I'm a real actor.
Jovinius Maximus for 38 months.
And welcome back, the Learm, who's a new subscriber, which is why I'm welcoming them back, because that's what I always end up doing.
The Learm.
The Learm.
Serafina.
Hey.
50 months. Thank you so much.
Loki892 returns for the 28th month. Welcome back.
Ryson for 78 months. Gonna have to get into the triple-digit months soon. Well, not that soon, I guess. Anyway.
All right, Raven Shade for 52 months. Welcome back. I'm sorry.
Saztool for 74 months. Wow. Thank you very much.
Lurch got this gift from the Maricat, and I probably just blew out everybody's ears at home. I'm sorry.
Is that, that's Lur merch, I guess?
Yeah, Lur merch, Lurch.
I'm pretty happy with some people have came out with Schlurt. It's there's a new Schlurt.
Yes, moist Schlurt.
Which I'm pretty it's fun to say.
It sure is. Yeah, I was going to pin that to the channel actually. I should make a merch channel just to talk to people about merch because I like talking about merch. It's my job. Is this me?
Yes.
So Tithga or Tidhegha or Tithiga for 23 months.
All of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Kodra, 22. Kodra? Sure. For 29 months.
Rhyming with Cobra. Avidus Mouch has been here for 29 months. Welcome back.
Puppeteer Games, FOMO, Dota, and Butterfinger. Gifted by the Maricat.
I can't wait to see the number of comments that are going to be like, it's Dota, Beach. Beach, they play Dota. They play Dota. I knew they played Dota. Leave me alone. Having some old man fun.
I love the idea that there's like a FOMO streaming channel.
Oh yeah.
And whenever you go
going
to
offline.
Yeah, whenever you go to the channel, it's always like, thanks for watching, bye. And everybody in the chat is like, oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Gen 2 Gengar has been here for 35 months. Welcome back. Very powerful.
Nissan Cup Noodles and GameStop, gifted by the Maricat. I believe there was a previous Final Fantasy, I think Final Fantasy 15 promotion with like cup noodles. Yeah.
It's funny because it's Nissin Cup Noodles is
Nissin?
the name of Nissin is the name of the company, not Nissan.
Not Nissan.
Nissan makes cars, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. It's Riley PM for 28 months. Welcome back.
Ratek Stormcrow for 28 months. Thank you very much.
Mighty Mekong returns for the 68th month. Welcome back.
John in wherever. Just wherever.
Hanging out. Got them 4 months. Canvas Wolf Doll for 39 months. Welcome back.
Butter's Finger and Butter's Fingers gifted by the Maricat, covering all the bases.
And the Maricat says they look for actual real accounts. They don't go making fake accounts.
These aren't. Yeah, the Maricat always looks for existing accounts.
Yeah, the closest.
They don't make them.
Yeah.
So somehow all of these accounts already exist.
All right. Thank you, the Maricat.
The Butter's Finger.
Leo Evans 631 for 69 months. Welcome back.
Xbox Series X, gifted by the Maricat.
Nice.
There we go. I wonder when that account was made.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't it be weird if it was made like 4 years ago?
Yeah, I like that. As a gag. Kitchen Links returns for 10 months. Welcome back. That's 2 cards mashed together, isn't it?
Schlurt. Not spelt correctly, but you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Gifted by the Maricat. Good old Schlurt.
Nothing wrong there. And thank you for...
That's it.
Yeah, your support this weekend. Thank you to everybody, and also all of you on YouTube, and the lurkers in the chat, and the people who post comments, and the people who don't post comments, and just everybody on the Patreon as well. You make a huge difference for us. Thank you so much.
True.
Patreon.com/loadingreadyrun.
Make all the difference. Coming up, we have LRRMTG coming up very soon.
A half hour, yeah? 20 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I have a thing for this. I was like, I need to run off and do a thing. Wait, no. Ha-ha.
Ha-ha.
I have a thing that does it.
Special
okay.
button.
Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we will talk to all y'all later.